All right, my people, welcome back. This one is another great one. Well, onto this, a lot of people, a lot of things has been said. Well, on this one, according to what we have gathered so far, Nnamdi Kanu seek transfer from DSS custody to Kuje Correctional Center. Already news and details. Detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has filed an application before the Federal High Court in Abuja seeking to be transferred from the custody of the Department of the State Service DSS to the Nigeria Correctional Service Center in Kuje. Kanu, in application he filed through his team of lawyers led by Mr. Ifeanyi Ejiofor, declined that he has been detained access to his media doctors. He said, according to him, he might die in the custody of the DSS if nothing was done to urgently address his deteriorating health condition. He meanwhile specifically applied for an order of the trial court directing the transfer of the applicant from the custody of the national headquarters of the State Security Service to the Nigerian Correctional Service Center in Kuje, Abuja, within the jurisdiction of his honorable court, where he was initially detained before he was granted bail, pending the determination of the charge. Meanwhile, in order not to of this honorable court directing the defendant applicant custodian to grant access to his medical expert and doctors to carry out a comprehensive independent medical examination of the defendant applicant's health condition status while in custody. It will be recorded that Nnamdi Kanu, whose whereabouts was hitherto unknown, and then was on July 27 to return back to the country after he was arrested from a yet to be confirmed African country. In other words, the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami's son, had insisted that he lawfully intercepted as a result of a collaborative effort of various security agencies in the country. However, Kanu's lawyer Ejiofor disclosed that his client was on June 18 illegally arrested at the airport and detained for 8 days by Kenya's Special Police Force before he was eventually handed over to their Nigerian counterpart. Ejiofor, in other way around, alleged that the IPOB leader was tortured and subjected to various forms of inhuman treatment in Kenya, a situation he said that unwholesome his health condition. Trial Justice Benta Wanko had opened Kanu's return to Nigeria, ordered his remand in a DSS custody even as his trial on treasonable felony charge, which was initially fixed for October, was brought forward to June 26. Meanwhile, in the fresh application, Kanu alleged that he has been subjected to mental and psychological torture by the DSS, saying it would be in the interest of justice for the court to order his transfer to the Nigerian Correctional Service Center, which he described as an impartial facility that has no interest whatever in the outcome of his trial. My good people, this has been how it is, and the truth remains that an advertent he attached in support of the application read that this charge number FHCABJ CR 383 2015 came upon 29th June 2021, and the applicant was brought before the court in chains, handcuffs, and leg cuffs, blindfolded, and was consequently remanded in the custody of the State Security Service, even though there was no legal transfer. There's no legal transparency, and there's no legal representation, okay, of the defendant, and that the matter was therefore adjourned to be on the 26th day of July 2021 for trial. That the counsel of the applicant was not served with any hearing notice before the appearance of the applicant in court. Neither were they able, and we are aware that any action was scheduled to take place in the criminal charge number FCHAJB and 383 2015 on that 29th June 2021. Flipping the other side of the coin, that on June 30th, 2021, the applicant solicitor formally wrote to the State Security Service to allow the applicant solicitors have access to the applicant. A copy of the said letter is thereby attached and marked as Exhibit MNK1, that on 2nd June 2021 at about 12:32 p.m. the State Security Service called me to inform me that our request is to be visited and the applicant was being approved, and that I should come by 4 p.m. to see defendant. That on the side of as at 22nd of July 2021 at about 5 p.m. at the state security headquarters in Abuja, the applicant informed me of the following fact, which I variably believed to be accurate and correct, as follows: that he was kidnapped and or adopted by Kenyan security forces on the 19th June 2021, especially at Nairobi airport. That he was detained by the personnel of the Kenyan police force for 8 days, and was throughout this period of detention subjected to all forms of inhuman treatment, brutal torture, causing grave and severe heart problem that almost took his life. And he continued to say that he was detained in an unconventional facility on not necessarily a police detention center in Kenya. That throughout his detention in Kenya, he continued to say that he was never allowed access to his relative before he was handed over to the Nigerian security counterpart, who smuggled him into Nigeria in clear violation of his rights. My good people, that since he was smuggled into this country on 27 June 2021, he has been kept in solitary confinement without access to his family members, relatives, or even wife, cousins, and children, except his lawyer, who only visits after many must secure the approval and endorsement of the Director General of the State Security Service, which approval are not usually granted as a matter of course. The lawyer continued to say that as at that, he is still being subjected to mental and psychological torture by his custodian on account of the condition of his solitary confinement, that an ECG examination was carried out on defendant, and it was discovered that defendant heart had been enlarged by more than 13%, posing a serious threat and danger to defendant's life. That there is a need for the defendant to have access to his medical doctor to assert the danger looming against the life of the defendant. That the health or the health personnel attention or attending to the defendant in the custody of the State Security Service is not adequately considering the circumstances of the defendant's health condition. that as well the charge that they have that the defendant requires the services of the medical expert as his medical recording issued by the chief cardiologist of Nnamdi Hospital, who has the defendant's medical reports mainly before the arrest. Adoption of the applicant shows a debilitating medical condition. Copies of this medical report shows the applicant's subsisting health condition are thereby attached and marked as Exhibit MNK. Another way that if the health condition of the defendant is not addressed most promptly, the defendant may die in custody even before his trial. It is essential that the defendant medical expert consultant be allowed to carry out proper, thorough, and independent medical examination if defendant to save defendant's life. All right, then that the defendant needed regular medical observation, attention by the defendant medical specialist, consultant in cardiology, that the defendant medical specialist, including the chief cardiologist of Nairobi Hospital in Kenya, have his complete medical record that will easily aid the examination of the defendant and the treatment thereof. Meanwhile, that the defendant undertakes to bear any cost in the incident to getting the medical expert to attend to his ill health while in custody, and that has been, my good people, the defendant can only be alive to stand his trial, which cannot be guaranteed because of his rapidly deteriorating health condition. All right, my good people, this has been how it is, as the defendant cannot effectively put up to a defense of the charge against him in his present deteriorating health condition, and that I continue to say that upon the arrangement and the things applicant, the Honorable Court in its wisdom initially remembered the applicant in Kuje Correctional Service Center, where he was held for almost 2 years before bail was completely granted to the applicant. Ejiofor also continued to say that for the almost 2 years, the applicant was in custody in Kuje Correctional Facility. There was never any complaint about any form of misconduct against him. That the state security service is not the determination center whether does it have the requested custodial facility to enhance the conditions of the occupant initiate. All right, and that the Nigerian Correctional Service Center, as he continued to say, is an impartial facility that has no interest whatsoever in the outcome of his charge. That the Nigerian Correctional Service Center is the only body statutory empowered to keep custody of persons facing criminal trial in court. Hence, the necessity to transfer the applicant to the Nigerian Correctional Service Center, Kuje. The charges and the application continue to say that it will serve the interest of the justice and enhance fair hearing for his honorable court to transfer the applicant from the State Security Service to the Nigerian Correctional Service Center in Kuje, Abuja, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court. All right, then that the application has very limited access to his lawyers, and who can only visit him after the approval of the director of the State Security Service has been first sought and obtained, which said approval in most cases takes days, and that the above situation could greatly impede the defendant's preparation for his defense to the charge against him. That the vulnerable consideration of his application is compelling in the circumstances of the present notice for the resumption of the court annual vacation, which could affect the hearing on the substantive charges against slated for the 26th day of July 2021. That a fair hearing can only be granted or guaranteed when the applicant is not remanded in the custody of his accusers. All right, my good people, this has been how it is. I would like to have more of your takes on this, because as we speak to you now, that it is a fact that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done, of course, and it will greatly aid and serve the interest of justice if this application is granted. Of course, it needed to be granted, and that the respondent will not be prejudiced by the grant of this application. Although, let me have your take on this, as Kanu's lawyer had protested the revocation of his client's bail, insisting that his disappearance would occasioned by the unknown wanted invasion of his home at Afaroku in Abia State by the National and the Nigerian Army. A development, he said, led to the death of many innocent persons that were in the compound at the time of the invasion. Well, otherwise, if not this bail or this request had not been made, the court on March 28, 2019 revoked Kanu's bail and sued a bench warrant for his arrest. Alright, let me have your take on this. Please do well to tap on the subscription button for more updates. Thank you and God bless you.